High above the forest canopy, fire tower lookouts carry out a job that is both lonely and essential. From sunrise to sunset, they scan the horizon for the faintest trace of smoke, a signal that a wildfire may be starting. The role requires patience, sharp observation, and an intimate knowledge of the land. Beyond spotting fires, lookouts track weather, log daily conditions, and relay vital updates to firefighting crews. Often stationed deep in remote wilderness, they work in solitude for months, surrounded only by the sounds of wind, birds, and distant storms. In the summer of 2006, one of those lookouts was Stephanie Stewart. At 70 years old, she was known not just for her love of books, but also for her adventurous spirit and connection to the outdoors. Just the year before, she had climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, proof of her determination and strength. Standing 5'2", and weighing about 105 pounds, with blue eyes, glasses, and chin-length gray auburn hair, Stephanie was petite, but remarkably fit. Friends and colleagues described her as active, healthy, and full of life. Her year was split between Canmore, Alberta, where she spent her winters, and Hinton, a town on the edge of Jasper National Park, about 280 kilometers west of Edmonton, where she worked each summer. For 18 years, she had served as a seasonal fire tower lookout with Alberta Sustainable Resource Development, ESRD. 13 of those summers were spent alone at the remote Abaska Lookout Tower, perched among foothills, lakes, and thick forest. The job suited her independence. When not on duty, she filled her time tending a large garden, doing embroidery, painting, and reading. Because of the isolation, strict check-ins were required, 3 times a day, every day of the week. On the evening of Friday, August 25, 2006, around 9 p.m., Stephanie spoke with a relative by phone. No one knew it would be the last time she was ever heard from. The next morning, August 26th, she was expected to follow her usual routine, starting the day at her cabin before climbing the tower for her first weather report. But when her check-in never came, alarms were raised. By 9 a.m., her ESRD supervisor had reported her missing. Stephanie's silence was immediately concerning. A staff member was sent to her cabin, where unsettling signs were found. The home was empty. A pot of water was still boiling on the stove. Small traces of blood were visible on the steps leading to the door. And several personal items were gone, including a burgundy bedsheet, a Navajo pattern duvet, 2 pillows with blue covers, and her gold analog wristwatch, an unusual piece that investigators noted carefully. Wildlife attack was ruled out almost immediately. Authorities determined something more troubling. Stephanie Stewart's disappearance was suspicious. Mark Cymbaluk, a volunteer with Hinton Search and Rescue, helped lead the first search for Stephanie Stewart. It quickly became one of the largest search operations ever held in Alberta. For Cymbaluk, the mission was personal. He could see Stephanie's fire tower from the back deck of his own home. "Stephanie has a special place in my heart," he later said. The effort drew RCMP officers, conservation staff, rescue teams, and dozens of local volunteers. They searched on foot, by vehicle, and by air. Yet despite the massive operation, no trace of Stephanie was found. Early forensic work ruled out many possibilities. Investigators confirmed she hadn't been attacked by wildlife, suffered an accident, or wandered off due to a medical emergency. Instead, the evidence pointed to something darker. Stephanie had either been abducted or killed. The scene inside. Her cabin suggested a sudden interruption. A pot of water still boiling on the stove hinted she had been preparing her day when someone appeared, perhaps an unexpected visitor arriving just before her scheduled check-in. Another possibility was that someone had stayed the night with her, willingly or not, and left in a rush when the phone rang. Either way, investigators believed the person responsible left only shortly before Stephanie's supervisor arrived. Authorities never released exact details, but it was reported that a significant amount of blood was found at the site. One name that surfaced in the investigation was Travis Vader. He later received a life sentence for the murders of Lyle and Marie McCann, a couple in their late 70s who vanished in 2010 on a camping trip to British Columbia. Vader, a longtime drug user with a criminal record that included arson, theft, and weapons offenses, killed the Mackens during a robbery west of Edmonton. He burned their RV and hid their remains, which were never recovered. Reports suggested Vader may have been in the area near Stephanie's lookout around the time she went missing. However, no evidence has ever confirmed a direct link between him and her disappearance. Some have wondered if Stephanie may have chosen to disappear on her own, but that theory quickly lost weight. Her Dodge Ram truck was still parked at the tower, and it was unlikely she would have attempted to leave on foot through thick forest. The site was isolated, about 3 miles, 5 kilometers from the nearest highway, making escape on her own nearly impossible unless someone had picked her up. Before her disappearance, visitors could drive directly to the lookout for its sweeping mountain views. But after she vanished, road access was permanently closed to the public. Friends say the idea of her walking away doesn't fit. Robin Slater described the lookout as Stephanie's perfect place, where she spent her days gardening, embroidering, painting, and reading. Her daughter Lori echoed that sentiment. "Mom's a hell of a woman. She's very strong. She's very capable. The tower life is her life." Her case sent shockwaves through Alberta's fire lookout system. In the aftermath, the province introduced new safety measures for its 128 watchtowers. Fire watchers received self-defense training, upgraded two-way radios with panic buttons, and tighter restrictions on road access. Directional signs pointing to lookout towers were removed, and gates were locked to keep casual visitors out. Officials noted that, before Stephanie, no fire watcher had ever gone missing. Years later, the mystery remained unsolved. In 2016, RCMP Corporal Hal Turnbull admitted that while tips still came in, progress was slow. "It's a very puzzling thing," he said. "Some cases are more difficult than others, and this is just a very difficult case." The investigation continued. In 2018, the RCMP's Historical Homicide Unit launched fresh searches around the Abaska Fire Tower, nearby Jarvis Lake, and areas along Highway 40. Corporal Chris Warren explained, "Searchers are going to be looking for any human remains or any evidence of Stephanie's disappearance. We're continuing the investigation and continuing to search for anything that might bring resolution." Despite those efforts, neither Stephanie's body nor the belongings missing from her cabin have ever been recovered. To this day, no one knows if she was the victim of a random act of violence or a targeted crime. The peaceful wilderness she loved now carries an unsettling shadow, a reminder of the unanswered questions that still linger. Stephanie Stewart's case remains open, officially treated as a homicide. Investigators continue to offer a $20,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Anyone with details is urged to contact the Hinton RCMP at 780-865-4040 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477.